I went through menopause at 52. I did not gain weight. My skin did not change. I did not spend a single night unable to sleep from heat moving through my body like a wave. I did not feel like a different person on the other side of it. I felt like myself, the same self I had always been, just older, which felt right because I was older. My friend Yoshiko from the mainland came to visit me around that time. She was 54. She had been through menopause 2 years before, and she was still struggling. Weight that had appeared around her middle and would not leave. Skin that had changed in ways she described as almost overnight. Energy that dropped in the afternoon and never fully came back. She was taking 3 different supplements her doctor had recommended. She was using a cream that cost more than my monthly grocery bill. She was reading books about hormones and trying to manage something that felt, she told me, completely out of her control.
She looked at me and said, "Why do you look like that?" I did not know what to say. I looked the way I had always looked. I was eating the way I had always eaten. I was doing what my mother had done and what her mother had done before that. I had not done anything special or different or new. I had simply continued. Yoshiko stayed for a week. She ate what I ate. She walked where I walked. She slept the hours I slept. By the end of the week, she said she felt better than she had in 2 years. She went home and threw away 2 of the 3 supplements. She kept the one her doctor said was essential and stopped the others. She called me 3 months later and said, "Something is different. Something is actually different." I was not surprised. I already knew what the food was doing. I just had never had to explain it to anyone before because everyone around me was already eating it. That is why I am talking to you today, because you are not eating it. And the difference between what your body goes through after menopause and what mine went through is not genetics. It is not luck. It is not some mysterious quality of the Okinawan woman that cannot be replicated anywhere else. It is the food. The specific things I eat every single day that have been eaten by the women of this village for centuries. And the specific things I have never touched that I believe are making the experience of menopause in the Western world so much harder than it needs to be. Let me tell you what I eat first. The foundation of everything, the thing I believe matters more than anything else for a woman's body after menopause, is tofu. I eat tofu every single day. In my miso soup in the morning, as a cold dish with a little soy and ginger at lunch, simmered in broth at dinner. Soft tofu, firm tofu, tofu that has been sitting in the soup long enough to absorb everything around it. I have eaten tofu every day of my life since I was old enough to sit at my mother's table, and I will eat it every day until I cannot eat any more. Tofu is made from soybeans, and soybeans contain isoflavones, compounds that behave in the body similarly to estrogen. Not identically, similarly. When the body's own estrogen production drops after menopause, isoflavones from soy can partially fill that gap. They bind to the same receptors. They do some of the same work. This is why the hot flashes, that make so many Western women miserable after menopause are significantly less common in Okinawa and across Japan. It is not that Okinawan women have different hormones or different receptors. It is that they have been consuming phytoestrogens from soy every day for decades before menopause arrives, and they continue consuming them every day after. The transition is smoother because the body is not going from estrogen to nothing. It is going from estrogen to estrogen plus isoflavones. The gap is smaller. For the skin specifically, estrogen matters enormously. Estrogen stimulates collagen production. It keeps skin thick and elastic and hydrated. When estrogen drops sharply after menopause, as it does for most Western women who have not been consuming any dietary phytoestrogens, the skin responds. It thins. It loses elasticity. It dries. These changes can happen within months, and they can feel sudden and irreversible. They do not have to be sudden. They do not have to feel irreversible. But you have to give your body something to work with. Eat tofu every day. Not occasionally, not when it is convenient. Every day. Think of it the way I think of it. Not as a health food, not as something you are doing for a reason, just as food. Breakfast food, lunch food, dinner food. The way my mother thought of it and her mother before her. Just food. The second thing is seaweed. I put kombu in my miso soup every morning. I eat mozuku, a thin, silky seaweed unique to Okinawa, several times a week, usually lightly dressed with a little rice vinegar. I have eaten seaweed my entire life, without ever thinking about why, because it was simply always on the table. For skin health specifically, seaweed is remarkable. It contains fucoxanthin, an antioxidant found almost exclusively in brown seaweed, that research has shown to have significant anti-inflammatory effects and may help protect skin cells from UV damage. It contains minerals that are essential for skin structure, particularly the minerals that support collagen synthesis. It contains a type of collagen-like protein that some researchers believe may support skin elasticity when consumed regularly over long periods. But the thing I think matters most about seaweed, for women specifically, is what it does for the thyroid. Seaweed is one of the richest natural sources of iodine on Earth, and the thyroid, which regulates metabolism, energy, temperature, mood, and skin health, depends on adequate iodine to function properly. After menopause, when hormonal changes are already disrupting so many of the body's systems, a thyroid that is even slightly underperforming makes everything worse. Skin becomes drier, hair thins, energy drops, weight becomes harder to manage. Many women after menopause are told these things are simply the new normal. Sometimes they are thyroid symptoms, sometimes they are iodine deficiency symptoms, and sometimes eating seaweed every day would help more than another supplement. I am not a doctor. I cannot tell you what your thyroid is doing, but I can tell you that the women of this village eat seaweed every day, and their skin and their energy and their weight do not collapse after menopause the way I have watched it happen in women I know from other places. The third thing is turmeric. Every morning before anything else, I drink warm water with turmeric and a pinch of black pepper. This is the first thing my body receives every day. This is how my mother started every morning, and how I have started every morning since I was a young woman, and how I will start every morning for the rest of my life. For skin, turmeric does two things that I believe are critical after menopause. The first is what it does to inflammation. After menopause, inflammatory processes in the body tend to accelerate. The loss of estrogen removes a natural anti-inflammatory protection that most women do not know they had until it is gone. Chronic low-grade inflammation shows up in many ways: in joint pain, in fatigue, in brain fog, and visibly in the skin. Inflammatory skin ages faster. It is more reactive. It loses its glow. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory substances known. Consuming it daily does not eliminate inflammation, but it does something to the baseline level that I believe shows up over years in the way a person's skin looks and feels. The second thing turmeric does for skin is what it does to blood. It improves circulation. It keeps the blood flowing cleanly and easily. And healthy skin is fed by healthy blood, by the nutrients and oxygen that arrive through good circulation. Skin that looks dull and tired is often skin that is not being reached properly. Turmeric helps with that. My mother had extraordinary skin at 89. She drank turmeric tea every single morning of her adult life. I do not think that is a coincidence. The fourth thing is purple sweet potato. Imo, the food that is more central to Okinawan life than any other single thing we eat. I eat it almost every day, steamed, sometimes in soup, sometimes simply reheated from the night before and eaten with my morning tea. Purple sweet potato gets its color from anthocyanins, the same family of antioxidants found in blueberries and red cabbage and dark cherries. These anthocyanins are among the most powerful skin protective compounds in the natural food world. They neutralize the free radicals that break down collagen. They support the production of new collagen. They protect skin cells from the oxidative damage that accumulates from sun exposure, stress, and simply living in a body for 70 years. The skin of a woman who has eaten purple sweet potato every day for 50 years has been receiving these compounds continuously for 50 years. The protection builds. The effect is not something you see after 1 week. It is something you see after 1 decade, and after 5 decades, it is something that makes a 71-year-old woman's skin look like it belongs to someone 20 years younger. This is not a cream. This is not a procedure. This is a purple sweet potato eaten almost every day for a lifetime. It grows in the ground. It costs almost nothing, and it has been doing this work quietly and reliably for every woman in this village for as long as anyone here can remember. The fifth thing is fermented food. Miso every morning. I make my soup with real miso, the kind that has been fermented for months, not the instant powder. Pickled vegetables several times a week. A small amount of fermented tofu occasionally. These fermented foods feed the gut bacteria that, I have come to understand, are doing far more for the skin than most people realize. The gut microbiome. The community of bacteria living in the digestive system communicates directly with every other system in the body, including the skin. When the gut bacteria are healthy and diverse and well-fed, the skin benefits. When the gut bacteria are disrupted by antibiotics, by processed food, by the absence of fiber and fermented foods, the skin shows it. In inflammation, in dullness, in breakouts and sensitivity, and a general loss of the healthy glow that comes from a body that is working properly from the inside out. After menopause, the gut microbiome changes. The hormonal shifts affect which bacteria thrive and which do not. Supporting the gut through this transition, with fermented foods, with the fiber from seaweed and sweet potato, with the absence of the processed food that disrupts the microbiome, gives the skin its best chance of coming through that transition intact. I eat fermented food every single day. I have eaten fermented food every single day my entire life. My gut bacteria are old friends. They know what they are doing. Now I want to tell you what I do not eat, because I think this half of the conversation matters just as much. I do not eat processed sugar. I have never eaten it regularly. There was none in my mother's kitchen, and there is none in mine. And for skin health specifically, sugar is one of the most destructive things a woman can consume. It triggers a process called glycation, where sugar molecules attach to collagen fibers and make them stiff and brittle. Glycation destroys the elastic quality of young skin and replaces it with the rigid, lined, sagging quality of aged skin. This process happens slowly, and it happens constantly in anyone whose blood sugar is chronically elevated. And it accelerates after menopause, when the body's insulin sensitivity changes. The women I have known who aged fastest in the face, who looked 10 or 15 years older than their actual age by the time they reached their 60s, were women who ate sweetened food every day. The connection is so consistent in my observation over 71 years that I cannot look at it as coincidence. I do not eat vegetable oil. I cook with sesame oil and occasionally a little rice bran oil. The industrial vegetable oils that fill Western cooking, canola, soybean, sunflower, are highly inflammatory. And inflammation, as I said, is the enemy of skin after menopause. Every meal cooked in those oils is adding to the inflammatory load that shows up in the face. I do not eat processed food of any kind. Nothing from a package with ingredients I cannot pronounce. Nothing made in a factory to last on a shelf for months. Real food only. Food with one ingredient. Food my great-grandmother would recognize. The skin is not separate from the rest of the body. It is not a surface that can be treated from the outside, while the inside is ignored. Every cream, every serum, every procedure. These are working against the current if the food going into the body is creating inflammation and glycation and oxidative damage faster than any topical treatment can address. I have bought perhaps 4 creams in my life, simple ones. A little coconut oil sometimes on dry days. That is all. My skin does not need more than that, because it is being fed properly from the inside. Yoshiko still calls me. She is 74 now. She changed the way she eats 3 years after that visit. Slowly, imperfectly, in the way real change happens. Not overnight, not completely, but genuinely and consistently. She told me last year that her skin is different, that people ask her what she is doing, that she feels at 74 more comfortable in her body than she did at 54 when she arrived at my door carrying 3 supplements and a very expensive cream. She is eating tofu now, every day. She found seaweed at a Japanese market near where she lives. She makes a simple miso soup in the morning. She drinks turmeric tea. She stopped buying the cream. Her skin is not mine. She did not have 50 years of this food working quietly inside her. But she has had 3 years. And 3 years, done consistently, is not nothing. 3 years of the right food is the beginning of a different skin, a different body, a different experience of being a woman past 60. You have time. Whatever age you are reading this, you have time. The body responds. It always responds when you give it what it needs. My mother had beautiful skin at 89. She never bought a single cream in her life. In Okinawa, we do not fight aging. We simply do not feed it. Nuchi gusui. Food is medicine. Start with the tofu. Start tomorrow morning with a bowl of miso soup with real miso and a piece of soft tofu. Just that. One change. One morning. Your skin will be paying attention even if you are not. Nuchi gusui.